before we start any mobility and exercise work, we want to warm up. Start by doing 10 circle motions with your shoulder backwards. Really exaggerate the movement. Shrug, squeeze those shoulder blades together and down. And now move it in the opposite way forward. So bring them up to your shoulders, spread your shoulder blades apart, move them down towards your tailbone, and continue. Make sure to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, if you can, what you're going to try to do, try to clasp your hands as best you can and just move your neck side to side. So essentially what we're doing what's known as a dynamic warm up to warm up the muscles that attach into the shoulder, including the shoulder blade, the collarbone, and the ribs. A few more. Awesome. Now slouch forward and extend back. So you want to be careful here with your neck when you're looking up towards the ceiling. Don't exaggerate the movement too much to the point you're feeling compression in your neck, but more so exaggerate the movement with your chest. So crouch over and curl your chest in and lift your chest up towards the ceiling. The thoracic spine is where your ribs attach into. And the rib cage movement is actually a very important aspect to shoulder movement in general. So we want to make sure we're warming this area up as well. So move that chest. It's almost like you have a hook attached to your chest and that lifts it up. Now, side to side movement at your ribs. So do not lean over. You want to just think of doing the movement with your ribs side to side. Now, if I'm moving too fast for you, just slow it down. You don't have to go as fast as I'm going. The best part of doing this at home is you can go at your own pace with my guidance. Now we'll just finish off with octopus arms, leaving them very loose, and you're just twisting your body. So now we're getting the twisting rotation aspect of the thoracic spine. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Let your arms just hang. They should be very loose, and the movement is only being generated at the body. All right, so let's start this active range of motion with passive assistance using the ball. If you do not have an exercise ball, what you can do is go up to a counter or table and sit in a chair and do this movement. So right here, we are bending the elbow and straightening it. With doing this, we are working on flexion, the forward movement of our shoulder blade. So we want to keep our shoulder down. We do not want it to rise towards our ear. And we're just working on the clean, crisp movement as best we can without affecting the shoulder. Bring it towards our ear and hold it. And now we're just going to do the movement at the shoulder blade. So if you need to bend the elbow, let me move my hair out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. So just the movement here. So you can bend your elbow and just do the movement at the shoulder blade. When you're pushing it forward and pulling your shoulder blade back, I'm keeping my shoulder blade down and I'm not letting my shoulder rise towards my ear as best as possible. When I pull back, I'm bending the elbow, but if you can continue the range, you can walk your hand up farther up the ball or the countertop and just keep your elbow straight. So see here how I'm not excessively crossing my body. I'm keeping my wrist in line with my shoulder. So now you can walk your arm up a little bit more if possible, or just continue doing the one we were doing previously. And keep that elbow straight. Do not bend it this time, unless of course you need to. So really just reestablish, bring blood flow back to those muscles that haven't really been working properly for a while. And don't push yourself too much. Sometimes with frozen shoulder, if you push yourself too much and do too much, you can actually slow down that recovery process. So just be patient with yourself. If you need to stop at any point in time or rest your arm, just give yourself a bit of a break if you're starting to feel a burning sensation or tingling or anything like that. Feel free to do so. And if you can, walk up a little bit more. So we're doing an active motion by being passive. So now we're going to flip the hand up to the ceiling and then palm back down. So this is working on the rotation element of the joint in this position. So during this video, we're really upping all the ranges of motion. So we're also introducing three-dimensional work. Now here I slightly bend the elbow to put the shoulder joint at a different range, but if you can, keep your elbow straight and do so. But moving on to the next, you're going to have your palm up towards the ceiling and bend at the elbow. So this is putting the muscles at different ranges of motion and pulls so that we can work the shoulder and muscles at different ranges and different angles. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Flip the hand back over. Now cross over your body. So we want to keep your shoulders nice and square, and it's only your arm that is crossing over. So it's your wrist that's trying to cross over in line, almost with your other shoulder. And if you need to, if it's easier, you can actually rotate with your body instead of moving your arm. Make sure to keep that shoulder blade pressed down. Do not let that rise toward the ear. If the height is too much, again, you can bend the elbow even more the entire time and just do the movement with your body. So from a different angle, you can see how I'm walking with my feet and I'm turning out, and then I'm walking with my feet and turning into my arm. And I'm walking away, and I'm walking towards. If this movement is too fast for you and you need to slow it down until you improve, take your time. We're going for progress here, not for perfection. Recovery will come in time. I know sometimes with frozen shoulder, things can be very frustrating, but patience is key. We'll go back to crossing over. Notice any improvements. Notice any improvements in elasticity, range of motion, less tension, less pain, less discomfort, less pressure, for example. Again, turn into your arm with your body. Completely rest your arm. Keep your shoulder blade down. Do not let that rise towards your ear. Take breaks when needed. And now when you're walking away, you're going to do this movement, rolling the ball front and back. You can also incorporate, if you can, your hand movement. So turn the palm up to the ceiling and turn the palm down. So if we just work this rotational element right here and take a little bit of a step back, see how you feel with just the upward and downward rotation of the palm of the hand, trying to rotate at the shoulder joint as best as possible. Here more so uses forearm movement, but the forearm will affect the upper arm as well. So that is why we do incorporate them, especially with frozen shoulder. It's all about doing whatever we can to increase whatever range of motion we can. And control the ball as best as possible. Support the weight of your arm completely on the ball and just focus on the range of motion with your arm as opposed to holding your arm up. That's why we're using the ball or the countertop, whatever you have available. Now, if you can, you're really going to rotate your body away. So we're going to be working on cross extension. At this point, rotate your hand up towards the ceiling. So the palm of the hand will be facing up towards the ceiling as you're rotating away and encouraging that cross extension, it's called. It's where you're placing your arm back behind you. If you need to lower the range of motion, bend the elbow as I'm showing you here. And essentially the elbow can be directed right towards your side or even a bit behind you. Do whatever range is best for you at this time. And if you can't fully straighten the elbow yet, just work within a 45 to 50-degree range or whatever you can. So again, keep that shoulder blade down and up. So now if you can hold this position and just practice singularly moving at the shoulder blade, try to do so. So the goal here is just to pull the shoulder blade down and relax back up. Pull it down and relax back up. As you can see, I'm doing a very, very, very minimal movement. You don't want to do a major side bending here. This is just for the shoulder. Now shrug and then press down. Shrug and press the shoulder blade down. So keep repeating to yourself, am I just moving the shoulder blade or am I moving with my spine? Try your best to just do the movement at the shoulder blade. Now slowly recover out of that position because we're going to prepare to work on rotational aspects with the arm by the side. So push the ball right against the wall or go right against the wall yourself. You're going to try to work on that external rotation, so outward rotation of your arms. So you're going to press with your muscles right into the ball and release. And press right into the wall. Really try to feel those muscles of your shoulder and your shoulder blade work and rest. Again, press outward and release. Press outward. Try to focus and imagine that rotation at your shoulder joint becoming easier and easier and release. And focus on rotating. Bring that blood flow to that joint and release. Again, contract, rotate out and release. So now if you can, you're going to do the rotation up higher. So start with your elbow lower and just walk your arm up as high as you can without your shoulder blade starting to feel compressed or your shoulder starting to rise towards your ear. So you don't want that to happen. Keep your shoulder blade down. So you can move your shoulder forward as best you can and then rotate it back as best you can. Again, I have no issues with my shoulders at this point in time. So the movement that I am demonstrating here is the ideal range of motion. With that being said, if your arm is only at a 45-degree angle right now, or at a 20-degree angle, or right by your side and you're only moving in a couple degrees of motion inwards and outwards towards your body or away from your body, that is all you need to do. There's also an easier frozen shoulder video for beginners that you can also refer to, and I will leave that in the description below, that link. So if you're finding this too difficult, you can also try that video. Keep that shoulder blade down, arm rested, only work on that range of motion. Let the weight of your arm rest on the ball or the countertop. Now we want to practice the engagement and the movement of the arm coming towards your body. So we're going to press down into the ball of the countertop. If you're at the countertop, you're going to be in this position but facing perpendicular to the countertop, so right beside the countertop. And as best you can, you're just going to try to pull your arm down towards you and back. So if you need to do less of a range, you just angle yourself. You stand up a little bit higher, you stand up on a stool, or you put a couple pillows underneath the chair, the countertop you're at, to lessen the angle of your shoulder. Do what you gotta do so it's most comfortable for you. The first time or the first few times you do this video, you might have to play around with a couple ranges of motion or a couple different tools that you're using so that you can get the system down that works best for you. And then it just makes it easier as you improve to take away a couple pillows or to add a couple pillows, whatever the case may be, here and there, to adjust it as you see fit. Now we're going to be working on the extension with our arms right by our side. So this is where we want to use that countertop or the table. And we're just going to be lunging forward. So we're going to be walking our fingers back to the best range of motion that we can. And you can also extend up with your chest and slouch forward and extend up with your chest. So those exercises that we did at the beginning, we can utilize that range of motion with our upper back, so where the ribs attach into in the rib cage. So slouching forward, and to increase the difficulty, we can lunge a little bit or put a pillow right underneath our fingers to increase the height as we work that range of motion of the shoulder, utilizing that mobility through the rib cage. Keep breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feeling a nice gentle stretch and a nice gentle pull. A hurt so good type of feeling. You should not feel any numbness, tingling, or burning. And push yourself up with your legs, so walk back to your arm to bring it back to the side. One of the last ranges of motion we're going to do is cross flexion. So essentially, you're just going to step up on a stool, cross the arm over top of the opposite leg, and you're going to bend forward at your body to move the arm. So your arm is completely resting and sliding along your leg, and it's your body that is moving forward, which is putting more of the range of motion into that shoulder. At no point in time am I using any muscle strength in my arm. It's all coming from my glutes and my back and the movement in the hips. And the weight of my body is putting that range of motion into the shoulder, as you can see here. I'm completely, again, I know I'm being very repetitive, completely resting my arm on my leg. Again, this range of motion may be extreme for you even on a good day if you didn't have an injury. So please keep that in mind, that my range of motion is a little bit greater than even the average person. So just do your best and do what feels most comfortable for you. Last one that we're going to focus on is that internal rotation. So you're going to try to find a wall that has a doorway, so that your hips can fall further than the wall and your arm can come up behind you. This is typically the most effective range of motion in any frozen shoulder, and it's usually one of the last ranges of motions to be regained. So that is why I left it for last, so that we were warmed up as best as possible to make this movement easier than it would have been if we were going in with a cold shoulder joint. So even so, do your best here. If you feel like you're too sore at this point, you can pause it and just work up to this point. This video is progressive, meaning it's getting gradually more difficult and more difficult as we're going through the different ranges of motion and exercises. So grab a towel, a long one, so that we can work on the last bit of the range of motion by using the arms. So again, we are not using any muscles. We are just working on that range of motion. I'm actually pulling up with my top arm, and that's pulling the bottom arm up. So my bottom arm is just a loose arm. I am not using those muscles. All the strength is coming from that top arm. And I'm lowering the arm with the top arm. So I'm controlling every single range of motion that's happening with the arm. So if you need even more range, you can place a towel directly in front of you and now pull in the front, as you can see here. So this range of motion is important to gradually work back, because we sometimes do need to reach for the back pocket or reach to do up a bra strap, examples like that. But if this range of motion is one of the most difficult for you, again, give yourself time, be patient, eventually it will come back. And for that last little bit, if you can, you'll hold this position and use the wall leaning against it to get that last bit of internal rotation and really stretch out that capsule. Again, frozen shoulder is adhesive capsulitis, meaning the capsule surrounding your joints, which are non-contractile tissues, it's essentially a bunch of ligaments that are surrounding that joint, is frozen and has lost its elasticity temporarily. So doing this type of ranges, even though it can be very good, can also be very counterproductive if you are pushing yourself too much, too hard, too fast. So you have to listen to your body. And slowly lower, control that movement with the upper arm and release. Do a little bit of a cool down here. So again, octopus arms. Engage the movement from the spine. Your arms are completely hanging and the movement is coming from the body. Now, it would be very good to do an ice and heat kind of compression, going back and forth between ice and heat. So you can just get on some hot packs and some ice packs. And the way I like to do it is just a simple way to remember. So I do about 3 minutes of heat and 2 minutes of ice. So the reason why I do 3 and 2 is just so that it adds up to 5 minutes. That way you know if you've done 3 minutes of heat and 2 minutes of ice, it's been 5. So it's easy to keep track. If you're doing 3 rounds, it was 15 minutes, or 4 rounds, it was 20 minutes, etc. The benefits of doing heat and ice, switching back and forth between that, helps to vasodilate and vasoconstrict the surrounding arteries and vessels, and that will just help to manage any inflammation that you may have caused during these exercises. They're very, very good, so do not get discouraged. Give yourself at least a day or two in between these exercises, and if you're finding that it is becoming easier, you can progress to do this every single day as you're noticing your range of motion is getting better and better. Do not do this video more than once a day. At this point, you just want to give that little bit of input to regain that range of motion. So doing this more than once may be too much for you. If you know anyone in your life would benefit from this video just like you have, please tag them in this video or send this video. If you have any questions for me, please leave that in the comments below. Any suggestions you have of requests that you want to see me for videos that you want to see me release in the future, also leave that in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, because if you don't, you may miss out on the videos that I release in the future. Other than that, thank you very much for supporting me on this journey.